My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours. We are a music podcast that chats to artists, musicians and creatives on their songwriting process and upcoming releases. We very much appreciate you returning to listen to us once more. My name is Simon Fink and this is episode 226. How is your week going? Hope you've been keeping cool wherever you are. Australia at the moment is a bit of a hot place to be, so hopefully you're somewhere in the shade listening to some great new music and listening to this very podcast. It feels like we've only just kind of wrapped up the Falls Festival run and all the side shows that were happening from those bands. And then I feel like we're about to kind of begin the ramp up to Laneway Festival. Laneway Fest has announced their set times this week, so make sure that you're across those. Make sure your favourite band doesn't clash with your other favourite band. Anyone who listens to the podcast, you'll be able to see us at the main stage watching Phoebe Bridgers in Adelaide. So if you do listen to this podcast when you're in Adelaide, make sure you're at that stage. Come say hey. But hopefully you'll be able to catch one or two of the Laneway acts on this very podcast in the next coming months. We can't say a lot more. But until that point, let's talk about today's guest. Our guest for today, for episode 226, is HOLiDAY. They're an alternative rock and indie group based in Tasmania, but they all originally met in Byron Bay. And the band itself is a bit of a melting pot, similar to Byron Bay. Frontwoman Meg hails from the UK, while guitarist Jessie comes from Tassie and producer Marcos hails all the way from Argentina. So you've got a lot of different influences in this band, but they do make some incredible music. They make very cinematic and sweeping kind of alt rock, and I feel like this music will resonate with fans of artists like Florence and the Machine and London Grammar. So if you're into those bands, I feel like you're definitely going to enjoy the music of HOLiDAY. In December, they released their brilliant second record, which was titled Lover, and there is an EP coming soon. It is forthcoming, and when that does come out, we'll make sure that we do promote that on the podcast as well. But we've got them here on the pod today in promotion of that single Lover. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontwoman Meg and guitarist Jessie about a range of topics, actually. We're chatting about the band's origins and how they all met, the songwriting process within the group, and what they discovered when they were travelling abroad and visiting festivals like Glastonbury. Speaking of festivals, they are playing at Party In The Paddock next month, which is a brilliant music and camping festival in Tasmania. This year they boast a lineup that includes Gang of Youths, The Presets, Young Gravy, Meg Mac, Venga Boys. Definitely worth your time if you are in Tasmania or love travelling to Tasmania. Definitely worth checking out. The festival itself holds a bit of a special spot for the band, as it's also the festival that they run. They look after this festival. They curate it, they run it. We have a chat about that as well and talk about learning to switch off when you're at other festivals. So it is a very fun chat that we do have with Meg and Jessie today. What we're going to do, we'll make sure in the show notes you'll find all the social media links for the band, and we'll also have links for Party In The Paddock as well. So you'll be able to buy tickets from there if they are still available. It is coming up. It is next month, the festival, and it is very popular. So if there are still tickets available, head to the podcast show notes and you'll be able to find those there. We also want to give a quick shout out to Nat from the PR Files for helping out with today's episode and her assistance. Lastly, in the show notes as well, you'll find our social media links. So if you haven't already, go on there, chuck us a follow on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever your chosen social media platform is. But regardless of that, let's get on with it. Here is our chat with Meg and Jessie from HOLiDAY. please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Meg Hitchcock and Jessie Higgs from HOLiDAY. Hello, how are we?
Hey Simon, how you doing?
Hello.
Doing very well, thank you. How are both of you today?
Good. It's a Monday for us. We actually work together for a production management company called Vibestown Productions, and we're currently working towards Party In The Paddock, which is our major event. It's actually a festival I accidentally started in my early 20s that seems to still exist, which is a lot of fun. So we're kind of gearing towards that. But that's our day jobs.
We're 3 weeks away from that.
3 weeks away. So we're kind of like head down focused in the other part of our brain, the organisational, mathematical almost part of our brain. We're still super creative with it, but we only get to play music on the weekends at the moment.
Look, I can very much appreciate that, and I was going to touch on it a little bit later, but because we're already kind of have it on in front of us, Party In The Paddock is again a festival that you'll be playing as well in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about it, I guess, a little bit about that and promote the festival as well, because obviously there is an incredible lineup this year, yourselves included, which we'll have all the details for in the show notes of this podcast. But I think there's who have we got this year? There's Presets, DMAs, Gang of Youths, Peach PRC, Venga Boys, which is just a chef kiss to whoever booked them. I guess for yourselves, how is it being able to see both sides of that kind of equation? The fact that you guys get to be artists on the bill and you get to play to the crowds, but then you also get to see all the fun and I imagine not so fun stuff going on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, it's something I'm pretty used to because I've been doing it for a while. But Megs, what do you reckon?
I luckily have had quite a lot of experience in events as well, not necessarily over here in Australia. You might be able to tell I'm not from here. I'm from England. But to be honest, it's just fun. I love being a part of the creation of all of those memories for the punters. I just remember being a teen and going to festivals and being like, this is the most inspiring thing I've ever done. And then from that moment, I was like, I want to help curate those moments for other people. And yeah, I think part of our culture right now, music festivals really provide that group celebration for people. People get to let their hair down more than they ever do in other settings, and hopefully most of the time that's in a safe container if the right people are organising the event. And so it's just, I love it. I love experiencing both sides of the fence, and I would love to carry on doing it forever. Keep creating magic.
I think it's almost weird for us when we go to an event and we're not involved on something of it, you know. So
yeah, it definitely takes about 8 hours to relax into another event and be like, we don't have to pay attention to everything. We can just
you have to take the glasses off. It's almost like having X-ray glasses that, you know, you're constantly focused on, how are they doing that, you know, and sneaking looks back a house to see what's going on.
Oh, that sign just fell down. Like, I don't have to put it up, but maybe I will anyway.
I imagine that you guys probably know the pains and some of the other aspects of it that might help support in those other festivals where you're not there. But I can imagine that it is difficult to kind of like have that little switch kind of turn off and not go, that's right, we don't have to do 20 million things today. We can just play and then have some beers and enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What was that, sorry?
We go on holiday.
Exactly. Which brings us to yourselves and the brand new single that came out at the end of last year, Lover. It is a brilliant track. I kind of want to I do want to talk about the track, but I was hoping to talk about the origins of the band. Meg, as you mentioned, there is a bit of an accent. You are not from Australia, and I think that Marcos as well, who's in the band, also is joining us from, I think, from Argentina.
Yeah.
I'd love to know like the origin of the band and how all of you met and kind of got together to begin with.
Yeah, well, we all, like you just said, Jessie's from Tasmania as well, and a lot of the other band members are also from Tassie.
Quite exotic, Tasmania.
I love Tasmania, but we'll get to that a bit later as well.
And yeah, I'm from London. Marcus is from Argentina. And we all, as you do, moved to the magical melting pot of Byron Bay. And that's where we met. Jessie actually moved in with Marcus.
I went on a very specific mission. I was in a band in Tassie for about 10 years and we travelled the country. It's actually like my best friends, my brother and my dad were all in the band. It was fun. We had a lot of good times, but we fought like cats and dogs. And it was kind of like a pretty dramatic breakup. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if we can swear on this podcast.
Oh, please go for it.
Fuck you guys. I'm leaving out here. I'm going to Byron Bay to meet some musicians I can harmoniously create with. I didn't say it out loud to them, but I said it with my eyes. And literally I moved straight into a house with Marcos, my first housemate in Byron Bay, and probably my first housemate other than a previous band member. And we started jamming the first night that we met each other. We had a 6-pack of Stone and Wood and a garage full of instruments, and we just went to town. And next thing you know, we churned out like 4 songs, including Next Best Friend, which was one of our first singles. That project kind of evolved into HOLiDAY, and then we changed the name because that was my solo project at the time. And then we changed the name to the HOLiDAY Collective. That garage also birthed In The Flowers, which is Marky and Kimmy Brown's other project. They're also a beautiful couple that DJ together and were a part of the HOLiDAY Collective. And also Marky's other project, which is Yellow the Sun. And it's also the garage that Drop Legs share as well, or it's their garage, I should say. But it was a very prolific garage in Tinted Bar. And then, of course, we met Meg. I met Meg in a cafe she was managing.
The Roadhouse Cafe. It was a hot spot. People loved going there. Again, another little creative melting pot within the creative melting pot. And that's when, you met me there. And then we were meant to have a jam with myself and 2 other people that worked there. My friend Pete, who is a trumpet player, proper Italian man, and Nayara, who is Spanish and like a rocker on the drums.
Would have been a good band.
Would have been great.
But Meg was the only person that showed up for the jam, and we had that
garage.
In the garage as well. And from that first jam, we looked at each other and we're like, "This is pretty good. It was quite good."
Where we spat on the hands.
I think it was our second practice.
Yeah.
So we had another practice at Meg's house, and I was like, "So where do you want to take this? What's your ambition?" She looked me square dead in the eyes and said, "I want to headline Glastonbury." I was like, "I'll do that, but as long as we can headline Splendour as well, keep it in both countries."
Deal. And then did the hand slap thing.
Did the pop, and we still got it. Look at that.
I was going to say that was like audio-wise, that was a beautiful clap. But I also love the commitment of the spit shake, knowing that you guys definitely had something magical there and then, and also that I guess, have you spoken to those other 2 that missed out on the jam and that have missed out on headlining Glastonbury?
Yes.
I think Pete still thinks he's a part of the band because every time I see him, he's like, "Oh, man, I've got my trumpet ready. I'm ready to go." I'm like, "Fuck yeah. We're ready, man. Like, we're ready for the trumpet players." So
by the time we get to Glastonbury, we'll probably be a collective again and have like 20 people behind us, and they can be a part of it.
I think so.
I love that, and I look forward to seeing how the collective grows and builds and adds members along the way. I wanted to talk about Lover, which is a brilliant new single that you guys released the tail end in December last year. It's a beautiful track. Beautiful vocals from yourself, Meg, and I want to say it's like a no, it's not a throwback, but I feel like it is influenced by like, I want to say like early 2000s, mid 2000s, like indie or alternative rock. There's a certain sound to it. And first, I guess, wanting to know what the reaction has been like. You guys, we're now chatting mid-January, so it's been out for a little while. How has it been received so far?
Yeah, look, thank you. It's been great. Like, we were really proud to get that one to where we did. I think it's a real nice accumulation of our sound palette. Like, it's not deeply in like the alternative rock. Like, it's got a bit of the indie pop nature, and there's a real nice balance in that. And the reception that we've had it's been great, really. I don't know if you've seen the film clip, but that we had our friend Tommy Franklin come down and dance in there. We're on a nice beach in northern Tasmania. I'm in a wedding dress. There's a lot going on. The whole band's in the theatre. And, yeah, I think the combination of those visuals and the song cut through and got a good response.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's always hard when you're at the beginning of a project, because we've definitely made some fans along the way, which has been awesome to see it correlate. But, yeah, we're looking forward to being able to push it out to the next layer of people. And, of course, you know, that only comes with dedication and investment from said record labels and whatever else. So we're kind of at this beautiful initiation part of the project, and we've got some really cool people involved behind the scenes that are kind of coaching us and mentoring us, and some industry heads that, you know, are super smart in that regard, and they were really proud of the effort. They thought we nailed it, which is a good sign, because, you know, it's really hard to tell yourself as an artist when you're giving it your best shot. You can't really see the forest for the trees sometimes, but it definitely feels like a strong offering. And, you know, we've got some other singles coming as well that have similar fabric and similar sound palettes and different things. So we're really excited to bring the EP out together as like a full package, and a bit more of a deeper understanding of all the different strings on our bow, so to speak, because that's definitely one of them, with Meg's beautiful voice and that kind of alternative rock. It's nice to hear you pick up on those influences for sure.
Yeah, I think adding on that, one thing that we did this year is we went back to the UK, and we went to festivals like Glastonbury, and we saw the Rolling Stones, and we saw all of these big musical influences, and
Arctic Monkeys at Reading.
Monkeys, yeah, and
Nice.
Honestly, it was a good time of music for us. But one of the things it did is it made us go, oh yeah, like this is us. Like, I think being in Australia and being surrounded by a real particular type of mainstream music that we often see on the radio, it was really inspiring to go and see all of that music live and be like, oh, there's such a love for this still, and this is our true nature.
Really broaden our horizons, I think, especially myself as, you know, an Australian person that grows up with Triple J and is very, you know, I think as a culture we're very influenced by that indie rock and like that surf pop rock stuff that I think Meg and Meg especially doesn't really connect to at all. And I can totally understand why, you know.
Sorry.
She was kind of spoiled with Arctic Monkeys and Foals and Florence and the Machine and whoever else.
Of course.
Wolf Alice at the moment. And, you know, so it was really cool to go over there. And I think in a way we kind of infiltrated the scene a little bit as far as getting to hang out backstage at Glastonbury and having a bit of fun and getting like to meet some of these people.
It was like, ooh, you can have this. And we're like, oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Definitely kind of yeah, it definitely gave us a new true north of like, oh, okay, this is what feels good, and let's lean into it and let's let it hang in our music rather than almost try and be something else.
Yeah.
One thing that I guess with that in mind is because you mentioned before that the band has been and still currently is, and I guess ever evolving and ever changing, a collective. Is there much of a conversation between yourselves about those influences and what you have in when you're songwriting? Because I imagine that when it is a collective, when you've got, you know, however many people jamming together, that it might be easier to not put any restraints on it and kind of have it in a very free-form kind of manner. But then I imagine that's also where you get lost in terms of sounds and influences and what you actually want it to be.
Totally. It's a really good question because we're currently experiencing that right now. Because, it's a fun question because the guys that I left and we broke up, they're kind of now a part of the band that is HOLiDAY. So, we're doing that whole dance again. But between Meg and Marky and myself, we set a very kind of firm framework, a sound palette, so to speak, of what HOLiDAY should be, based upon those influences and also just like our natural skill set. You know, I think if you hear Meg's voice, it's pretty clear that she comes from the same school and that choral folk.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Pop royalty of Florence and the Machine or Hannah Reid from London Grammar. She's got that same tonality, and that's a very strong part of our sound. And then myself, I'm heavily influenced by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, especially John Frusciante, and then Foles, and then that kind of alternative rock guitar-based melody stuff. So that's a strong part of our sound. And Marky was on a very strong mission, and probably still is, to be the next Kevin Parker. That was coming from Argentina, which is a great mission. And then he found Brian Eno in his heart as well. So, from a production level, we're going to have that kind of like psychedelic, but still very pop-inspired, bigger productions. So, that was the initial kind of pact we made about the band. But now we find ourselves in this beautiful transition where Marky's leaning more into production, and T, who's been my lifelong best friend, he's a phenomenal bass player and a phenomenal performer, but he's also heavily lent into production for the last 5 years. So he's kind of coming on board pretty heavily now as well. He's kind of definitely replacing Marky in the live sense at the moment. He's playing a lot of the bass and some guitar and triggering synths and different things for us. So, and his influence is a bit more along the lines of that Foles, kind of Red Hot Chili Peppers, even something like Gorillaz. He's into that kind of electronic side of things as well. So I think you'll probably see an evolution from us with our next EP. This one's fairly set in stone, but T's definitely having a pretty big influence on us at the moment with our songwriting, which is cool to have. Like, Meg and I are always going to be pretty set in our ways, but you can bring somebody else into the mix and different producers, and you're going to derive something different from us as well. So, yeah, it's always involved.
Yeah, of course. With I guess that in mind, does the songwriting within the band, like, does that method change? I know for Lover, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Meg, that you originally wrote the lyrics, I think, for that almost in 2018 or 19, and then it's kind of evolved over that time. Is that, I guess, a similar method of songwriting within the band, or as you mentioned, Jessie, like the fact that with a new producer or new producing kind of elements coming in, that then changes how you guys kind of work around that?
Yeah, we've actually, again, been exploring it recently because I come from a different methodology almost. Like I've mostly been I've either been in choirs or I've been kind of writing my own music, solo project kind of thing. I was in a band when I was like 17, which was fun, but writing songs, I always did solo. And then you're quite similar. You went away and wrote a lot of the songs for your previous band by yourself.
Yeah.
Or at least like the narrative and the lyrics and some of the melodies.
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting. Or to be honest, for me, it was actually quite daunting at first, being in a group setting and trying to open up and not be afraid. Because I think one of my like go-tos, once I feel like nervous or uncomfortable, I'll just shut down and I won't speak. I'll be like, no, that's me done. Thank you. So it actually took a long time to be around like these group settings, to be able to like crack open and explore writing in different orders. Like I write the vocals and the melody and the lyrics first, and then kind of instrumentation around it. But then in this group setting, sometimes it's the absolute opposite, and they'll all be jamming. They're like, Meg, sing something. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is at least how I felt right at the start. Now I feel a bit more comfortable doing it, a little bit more.
I think as well because you're quite a perfectionist.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I'll just, it sounds like I'm moaning or dying sometimes when I'm trying to find that melody.
Or just weird words, like you'll say stuff like, shiki shiki namja, to fill the space.
Whatever.
Like, not perfect. No other human can.
So
hear
only
it.
gold comes out of Meg's mouth. So I've been definitely trying to be like, it just doesn't matter if it sounds bad. Just get it out, get it out. Be creative, man. But yeah, we're definitely intermingling our methodologies.
Yeah.
And it's great. There's no, like, everybody, there's so many different ways to skin a cat, as we would say in Tasmania. I'm not sure if that's a
that does translate. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So nothing's the right way or the wrong way. It's like, I think if it comes out good, and I'm a bit of a purist for the thing that happens when everybody stops thinking about it and it comes through us. And you listen back to it and you're like, oh, that bit, So you can take that bit away and refine it and do whatever you want to it. But as long as, like, the essence is protected, and I feel like Lover, for example, is a great example of how we took that song when Meg first brought it to the table in the garage in 2018.
Well, no, actually, it was later than that.
A bit later.
I think I wrote Lover it was after the COVID times. But yeah, we've done so many versions of that song because it kind of came out once we were figuring out the format of the band and how we were going to play live, and we did it as a 3-piece once with just us and Marcus, and no drums were in that one actually. And then myself and Marcus did it by ourselves once when Jessie wasn't there. And then we did it as a band.
A 12-piece.
A 12-piece band. And then we did it as a 5-piece band. And so that song really, it got a bit of a beating almost. Like it really went through a lot of trials and tribulations to the point where I didn't like it at one point. I was like, no, this song's terrible. We should definitely cut it out of everything we'd ever do. And then kind of being like, okay, no, it's not the song. It just isn't what it is meant to be yet.
Well, I think you identified that the true essence of the song's personality had been
Lost.
Lost or, moved on from. And once you kind of spoke up and
said it's actually a bit sad, like a bit melancholy. It's not like a happy.
And then it goes like, oh, well, we're playing it completely wrong. Like, we need to put some more minors in there. And that's when it's funny, that whole first section of it came from a session we did back in 2020 that we went back to and was like, well, guys, look at this bit of it. This bit's really important because it conveys the melancholy and it builds the suspense. And then when it gets to the major, lover, and we hit the D and D major and go back to E major, then it opens up again. So, it's just so it's really important, I think, to identify the intention of the art, like what is the song about and who is it for and what does it mean? And then, once you've got that kind of constructed, it definitely helps with protecting the essence of the song and then all the other bits fall into place.
100%. I think that I have quite a bit of admiration for any artist who can kind of, that you had something of worth, something good, something gold, and that you're still trying to work out what it is, but the fact that you're able to continue to work through it and not just go, you know what, let's scrap it and move on. Because I think that, as I mentioned before, it is a beautiful track. I know that it has resonated very well with fans from what I've seen on social media. I know before, Jessie, you mentioned that there is more music coming. I don't obviously want to get anyone in trouble. Are we able to talk about what the next year holds for HOLiDAY, or when we can see some further music from yourselves?
Definitely, Simon. And thank you.
Secrets.
Thank you, by the way. It's your kind words mean a lot at this point in our lives. We want to give everything to the project, but we're just so busy at the moment. So it's a real nice reminder, I think, to get excited about the next 12 months because we got a lot of plans, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Going to go back to the UK. That's big on the agenda. We met a lot of people over there and some bands and stuff. So we're about to release a tour. We're still focusing on the Lover tour that we haven't announced. We just play all these shows. And our beautiful PR lady, Nat, was like, guys, where are all these shows coming from?
You meant to tell me these things.
I meant to and we're like, oh, yeah, shit, sorry.
Sorry, Nat.
So we're still kind of, I guess, learning how to be a professional band, but we're catching up pretty quick to ourselves. And, we've got a lot of recording still to do. The EP we've had it on the ropes now for about 4 years, but the band keeps changing and we keep changing. But the songs are still the same songs, which is cool. So these songs have really been like teachers almost for us to find our sound through.
Yeah, definitely to develop the sound. I think it was really important to take that time before releasing everything, no matter how frustrating it feels to have all of these songs just sitting there and be like, I just want to put them out to the world.
Mm.
If we'd done it any other way, it wouldn't have been quite right because we hadn't done the hard yards of finding the sound and figuring out our relationships internally and the flow of how it all works. So now that we finally reached that point, and I don't think you can rush it. I feel like if you force all of that growth to happen too quickly, you probably end up with something a bit dodgy. So it's nice to just do what it's meant to do. Be like, okay, now we're ready. We know the process of how to finish the songs and how to finish the videos and the visuals that go with it. So we've got
2 singles.
Two more singles coming out.
And kind of like a third single that will come out after the EP is released because we love the song.
And it needs a bit of feature time.
Yeah, we just want to do a film clip for it because we want to. Yeah. So the the second single coming is Work of Art. It's a bit more of a funner song. We had this rowdy house party for my sister's 22nd birthday. I have two twin sisters. The characters, they've both got their own bands and they're just full of life. Probably a bit like me when I was 22, rambunctious, we'll call them. And we had this crazy house party and we kind of destroyed their lounge room, which was...
Initiated by them, though.
Yeah,
we didn't.
They led the whole process. Yeah. But we joined in. But my brother, who does a lot of the filming for all of our music videos and stuff.
And the drummer. And he's also the drummer.
Phenomenal drummer. We love you, Jade Higgs. He can't help himself, but he had this like crazy moment where he filmed everything from kind of on his shoulder and got like the whole party. We're just like, it's phenomenal footage. Like there's
phenomenal. It's
slow motion, like bottle smashing and my sister grabbing a bottle and sculling it, flicking her hair back very gracefully, and we're on top of tables, and T, who's like 6'4" or whatever and weighs 90 kilos, on my shoulders, and we're dancing around, and yeah, it's awesome. And it's basically like an Australian frat party. We don't really like frat parties, but
no, yeah, like it's more beautiful than how he described it.
I'm trying to paint a picture.
The point is, our visuals, instead of being a fancy music video like we've done for Lover, we just saw this footage and we were like, you know what, that's kind of perfect. It really sums up some of the song and some of the underlying themes of the song. And it's quite contrasting because we're not necessarily that rowdy. You might have been, like I said. Definitely want to mention that we don't destroy things often.
It's beautiful chaos.
Beautiful chaos.
It's about that safe container, isn't it? And, like youth culture always full of energy and I think it's important to celebrate that in a, like I said, safe container and the beautiful chaos of it all. And I think Work of Art, the song, really kind of encapsulates some of that.
It's kind of about feeling a bit out of community and not really knowing your place within the confines of society and not community, and kind of challenging some of the norms. So I think that's why the footage is quite fitting, because it's shocking. You're like, oh God, the table's broken.
Yeah. We'll probably do like a second scene of like us playing live at Party in the Paddock or something to break it up a little bit.
I am very much looking forward to seeing that video when it does come out, along with the EP and the single. Meg and Jessie, usually we would ask our guests what they're currently listening to. Is there anything at the moment that is on high rotation for both of yourselves respectively?
Yes. Maybe one each.
Yeah, I'll go first. I love dance music at the moment. It's my go-to, especially like Bonobo. He's done this DJ mix from a few years back, and my phone's name is Higgy Pop because my last name is Higgs, and one of my first nicknames I ever got was Higgy Pop off grade 4. And every time I listen to this Bonobo DJ playlist, I'm like, oh my God, I think I want to become a DJ one day, and I think my name is Higgy Pop. So yeah, that's me.
And I'm like, oh no, another thing.
It's a pretty good DJ name, I have to be honest though. It's a pretty good DJ name.
Shout out to Bonobo.
Yeah, if you're listening, Bonobo, we love you.
Come play for us.
My look, I've definitely been stuck in a Wolf Alice, Florence and the Machine loop. But it's good because definitely not, probably. But I think it's good I go through phases and I'm like, where are all the female artists that I actually like listening to? And then they bring out new music and I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because there's a lot of solo pop female artists that I don't really like listening to. Like, I definitely respect what they do and their place in music, but when you get a good female-led rocky type song or band. It's nice. It's nice to have something to relate to.
Paramore's new single.
Yeah, we love it.
This Is Why.
Yeah.
We Break the House.
Yeah.
Great.
All very solid choices. I think, very, very solid choices. Both, I think there's, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say ethereal. It's not even guttural, but I think both Bonobo and Florence, respectively, while maybe different genres, there's, this is going to kill me. I can't even think of what the word is. It's there's a, let's go with credibility to it. There's almost something that you can kind of hear in the music, and it's not necessarily just the vocals, but it is, that it's heartfelt, that there's a connection between the artist and the music with both of those kind of artists. So I think, very, very solid choices.
Yeah.
Thanks, Simon.
Your Jessie's dad always says, well, it's the Adele thing that he said to you. He said, why do people like Adele to Jessie? And what did you say? You're like, I don't know, she's really good.
My dad's quite shamanic, you could call him. He also shreds the guitar like no one else I've really seen, in his own Tasmanian shamanic ways. But he's always kind of reminding me that people want to connect to the people. You know, they want to connect to the person that's singing the song and their spirit, as he says. And he said to me that the reason why people connect to Adele is because her spirit is in her voice and you can feel her presence when she sings.
And I guess it's the same for Bonobo and Florence, like just how you said, like there's a difference between those artists where you can just really feel it.
They're fully committed, aren't they? They're fully, like, especially someone like Florence, she's very passionate, and the way she performs and the way she connects with her voice is...
Yeah. Or even someone like Whitney Houston. We went to watch the new Whitney Houston movie the other day, and it was fantastic. It's brilliant, but it's not Whitney singing. And just like any of these movies that they redo and someone plays them, like no matter how good they are, that spirit thing in their voice, that thing that makes you want to cry that entire time that they're performing, is missing a little bit. And it doesn't matter like what the song is, but it's just that. It's quite simply them in the music.
Bohemian Rhapsody got me. I was pulling my eyes out for sure.
I think that your dad has articulated it quite well, though, Jessie. I think the word I was looking for was spirit. I think that's probably a very nice way to encapsulate what we were trying to discuss. Both Meg and Jessie, thank you very much for coming onto the podcast. I very much appreciate it. Congratulations on the single HOLiDAY, and we do look forward to seeing the single Lover, and we do look forward to seeing the band HOLiDAY on tour, playing Party at the Paddock next month. And when those further tour dates are released, we'll make sure that we share them on the podcast as well.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.